Well, hello again, and welcome to another episode of Wrestling Beyond the Pulpit with the Good News Gang. I am joined today by Pastor Jackie Ranieri from Clare UMC, Pastor Kim Metzer from Hope and Welcome Corners UMC in Hastings, and I'm your host, Pastor Matt West from Marble Memorial UMC in Milan. Not Milan, but Milan. Often confused.
Yes.
So we are here again to start off the new year by wrestling with some more topics that are on our hearts and minds. And we are continuing right now, for the time being anyway, to use those questions from Pub Theology. And so our icebreaker, yes, our too bad. Maybe we should start bringing some pub beverages while we do this. So the icebreaker question to kick off today's conversation.
Morning brew.
The brew crew. There you go.
There you go. I like that.
What has you most hopeful about 2022? And is there one new thing you'd like to try this year? So what has you most hopeful about this new year? And what's one thing that you would like to try over this year of 2022?
It's a new year.
Yeah.
And it's not 2022 TOO. It's 2022. Sorry.
Thank you for clarifying. For our grammar specific crowd.
Oh, because we do not want to repeat 2020. That's not.
Or 2021.
No.
Gosh, I'm hopeful that, I don't know if it'll necessarily go away, but I certainly hope things clear up.
Yeah.
So that, it doesn't seem like every month there's a new variant coming out or something in regards to the virus.
I think there will be. My
hope
is that
better.
Right.
Well, in that it's not, I don't want to say overplayed, but if there's not so much doom and gloom, all of the studies say we're going to have to just learn to live with it. So if we can just start talking about how we're going to live with it and manage it and not every time there's a new variant, because there's going to be, just like the flu, it changes every year, it mutates. So how do we live with it? What does it look like?
The other thing
that will be less divisive in this.
Yes, there you go. More positivity is what I'm hopeful for this year.
Yes.
Something that dawned on me Sunday, because January 6th is the day of Epiphany. Never, I don't know why, but never came to the ding light, never kicked in as far as last year, January 6th, what happened on the day of Epiphany.
For me this year too.
And it was just like Sunday, we were someone else had shared a message with the congregation, and afterwards I'm like, hey, I should talk about Epiphany real quick. And then I'm like, yeah, remember what happened last year on January 6th? I'm like, let's hope that's not
right.
Something that happens again in this new year. Hopefully this year it's a much more joyous and light bearing Epiphany than the year before. So I don't know, but what's something new that you want to try this year? That's the one I'm trying to figure out.
Skydiving? No.
My younger days, that was something I wanted to do, but not now.
Really?
Yeah, I'm in that same boat, Jackie. Like they definitely, but now I'm not that I'm that old, but I'm just like, I don't know. No, I'm not interested in. Like I enjoy, an adrenaline rush, but not the one that might make me go splat. So.
I guess maybe that's my motto this year is, why put yourself in a situation where you can, why are we going to pack ourselves in a room when we know what's going on? Why are we going to fly up in a plane and skydive when it could? Not to say it will, but it could. And it's just like,
it's a perfect.
Why? That's my word of the year. Why are we going to do this?
Yeah.
But something new. I don't know. I always say the new year, like, be the better me. I want to be the better me. And it's like, I want to walk a mile a day. And I'm like, okay, it's what, January 5th, you said? And it's like, I have yet to start.
Still time. There's still time.
I know there's still
But
time.
it's
I'm
just
not giving
about
up.
starting. It doesn't mean you have to
Yeah.
necessarily start January 1. It's just that if at some point here in the near future you start, that's what's important.
Taking the
I
first
like
step
that
is the
too,
hardest. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, I made a little map of a sneaker with, all the days on, and get, my little colored pencils out and got all ready. And it was just like, okay, no, look at it every morning, like maybe tomorrow.
Or you look out the window and you're like, yeah, not today. Not today.
We've got a storm coming today, so it's starting to come now.
It's here. Yeah.
It's supposed to be really windy here today.
Yeah.
Yeah, we got like 45 with 1 to 4 inches of snow. So it's just kind of like, so again, why? Why do I want to be on the road?
Yeah.
I'll
just do the stairs of the house. Yeah.
My new thing might be, I don't know, I may have to learn an instrument. We're having trouble finding instrumentalists, to accompany us for Sunday mornings. And I'm thinking, well, maybe I better just learn how to play one myself.
Well, I got a tambourine and ukulele you can borrow anytime you want.
Maybe I'll just put together one of those one-man band kits, and see if I can figure out how to make that work.
Well, you can go back to hymns. We acquired the hymnal on the pre-recorded accompaniment. So my goal to get all of that ripped into our server so that we have it available.
Well, I mean, we've been using backtracks, but there's a big difference between live music and recorded music. So moving along here with our discussion today, it says
we're not doing anything new.
How does social media usage impact your mood? And do you think you'll spend more or less time on social media this year as compared to last year?
It kills my mood. I've already started using it less.
Oh, good for you.
Okay.
I say that, but I scroll in it a lot. I don't post as much as I have.
How does it impact your mood, or what about
mood
caused you to use it less?
Terrible mood affector. Oh, it's horrible because the divisiveness and the unwillingness to see the other side, and I should just do what my dad does and just post coffee memes. So that's what he does every day. He nothing political, nothing. So
see, that's like last year. I felt like it was a competition between 2020 and 2021. And it felt like everybody was out there in competition and had to say their say and their opinions. And they were, I always felt like everybody's against each other, but I joined, I started following a coffee group and they post memes of coffee. And then I started finding more positive things to follow. And it wasn't like, it wasn't all theological kind of stuff, but it was stuff that kind of brought a smile to my face and, and it's just kind of like, that has helped. That has improved. I don't, I'm on social media, but I'm only on Facebook. I don't do the Twitter thing or the other thing, Instagram or any of that, which I know I need to be more fluent in that, but I'm not. But
TikTok.
Yeah. But it's just, but going through, but I found that when I follow more of the positive things out there, I think it brings a smile to your face. I love haircuts. I love hair color. I love the things. So I'm following the short and sexy hairstyles and I'm seeing some really incredible hair, Some I'm kind of like, okay, I'll just keep on going.
So we'll see what Jackie's hair looks like next week. Maybe that's the new.
Hopefully I got product in my hair next week and it's a little more organized, but this week you just get the real deal. But anyway.
It's all real here.
It's all real.
Come as you are.
Yeah. I don't know, but as far as social media, I look for more of the positive because I was getting frustrated with social media. I was getting frustrated with the rants. I was getting frustrated with, and I feel for people because I understand it was hard. It is hard. Mm-hmm. But if we look for more of a positive thing, I think it can help us get in a better mood. It can make you laugh,
It can. And there's positive corners of it.
Right. Yeah. Well, the catch-22 is like, we might want to cut back on our personal use of it, but as pastors, in our churches, we're trying to utilize it to reach people.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like you kind of have to be on it, but then you're trying not to be on it, and it's a thin line to walk.
It is.
And it is hard, because there are certainly things that I'll laugh and I share with my wife, and then there are other things that it just irritates me because as the phrase says, you can't fix stupid. So
right.
So you just scroll, keep moving.
But like it's hard for me in the fact that it's like I don't want to necessarily like hide under a rock, so it's like it frustrates me, but yet like I want to know like what's being said out there, like whether it's disinformation or like even hearing some of the political stuff that's going on, but I try to stay more to the humorous stuff,
right?
And a lot of times like if I'll start to watch something, and if I see like I just scroll on, like I can't deal with that right now, like maybe some other time. But it's a catch-22 for us as pastors, because we're certainly with the last year and a half been trying to utilize social media to reach people that are uncomfortable or maybe live somewhere else that are trying to take part in what we do in our churches, but at the same time like not going down a rabbit hole that's going to take us down a dark tunnel instead of staying out in the light. But social media, it's one of those things, just like many other inventions throughout history, where the intention was good and somehow it gets twisted, and then it becomes a matter of what you choose to do with it as far as how it works or what. But
right.
All right. Well, we'll see what kind of movie-going fans we have here, but without giving away any spoilers, the newest Spider-Man film. In it, Peter Parker wrestles with helping his enemies, even at risk to those he loves. How far does Jesus's command to love our enemies extend? And should caring for and protecting our own family and loved ones come first? Side note, Spider-Man No Way Home, 2 thumbs up. If you haven't seen it, go check it out.
We're gonna go see it on Christmas and then didn't leave the house.
Get definitely probably the best Spider-Man film. And
really, I'm a Spider-Man fan.
I haven't seen any of them. I have nothing to.
No, this is a good one. This is definitely worth seeing. So. Okay. But yes, as it said in the movie, what happens is there is a point in which Peter's trying to help his enemies, but we're talking about us as Christians, as people. How far does Jesus's command to love our enemies extend? And when it comes to caring and protecting for our own family and loved ones, does that come first?
It's hard.
Wow. It is. I mean, because society would dictate one way that we should respond to this question, but we're talking about Jesus's command to, love our neighbor as we love ourselves, enemy or not. So, I mean, it is certainly an internal battle that I'm sure many wrestle with, that it's like, well, Jesus says I should help him, but I don't know if I want to.
Right. And I was just thinking this morning, Jesus still loved Judas. Jesus knew what Judas was going to do. Judas did what was known he was going to do, and Jesus still loved him.
Well, and it's interestingly enough, with the second part of the question about whether, family or our loved ones should come first, I always just think, I've used this numerous ways in various conversations, but the idea, Vince Lombardi used to always tell his teams God, family, and the Green Bay Packers, and if you could put them in that order, things would work themselves out or whatnot, or it'll be all good. So I mean, again, God's first. So does that mean that maybe we try to help our enemies before our loved ones because of Jesus's command? Or that's kind of a tricky one.
Right. But when you think about it, think about your call, think about that. And it's like, many of us discuss it with our families before we go into that. And a lot of our families don't agree with our call. Like, what do you mean? I didn't marry a pastor. I married a teacher, or I married this, or I married that. But, after having that discussion and knowing that, I think, I definitely would never put my family in danger by any means, but I think our families would know if we're outreaching to an enemy, someone we really don't want to help, but we're thinking somehow God just keeps pushing us toward this. I think our families will support us. And, they're going to be angry at first. It's not, and sometimes it may be that, holiday dinner, and it's like, listen, I got to go. This person needs me. And yes, it's going to be anger at first, but I think after they think about it, after it settles in, I think God just works it out. And it's not easy by any means whatsoever. I mean, it's never easy. And it's our own personal struggle. Like you said, it's like, do I really want to help this person? They've hurt me so much.
Right.
They've hurt me within the church. They've hurt me personally. And it's like, but God somehow is pushing you towards the situation. You know what I mean? And it's
right.
like, but, I think it's our own personal struggle. Yes. I mean, our family is very important to us, and we never want harm to come to our family. And I would never do anything that would harm my family. Would I bring someone in that was a mass murderer and I want to house them? No, I'd find other means to put them somewhere. But think about it. You never know, when situations come up like that with these people, their backgrounds and stuff. And it's like, I want to love on them. I want to give them a house. I want to give them there, but it's not going to be my house with my family. It's just, right. I think we got to think smart about it, as far as that way. But I think that, when God's tugging at you, like, there's a reason, we may not know right then and there, we may not know a year later or whatever, but I think it's like when God's tugging at us and telling us, hey, you answered that call. Right. You said you'd do this for me.
Darn call. Why didn't I let it go to the answering machine?
I know. It's just, it is. But
that dated me. Ooh, voicemail.
It is. It's a tough question. And it's like, that's really a heartstring one,
Oh, yeah. Because,
how far are we willing to go for Jesus, I mean, that's basically,
Because do you look at it as like, the 99 versus the one?
Exactly.
Like, the enemy being the one, like, do we go after them? And then, but I also, in regards to, factoring in our call or what, I'm with you, Jackie, in the fact that I think we also need to know, like, when we could actually help and when we can't, like, where do you draw the line so that you don't put your own family in danger, because I'm a protector. I would just prefer to protect everybody, but having seen the movie or what, like, I certainly see, like, the idea being you could change somebody's life by helping your enemy. Like, do you continue to let them go on and be your enemy, or to be this proverbial bad person, or do you help them and maybe change their path? Which is what I think, ultimately Jesus is commanding us to do, is to show them the light, or to help them on their journey, in hopes that maybe, they understand that there's something better out there for them, that their life doesn't have to be that way. But yeah, it's certainly difficult when, you potentially, could put your family and loved ones at risk, and, how far do you go before you seek somebody else's help? That's the whole thing. Obviously pastors are kind of looked at as counselors sometimes, but, we're not trained professionals in the counseling field. So, I mean, yeah, we can we can listen, we can offer our 2 cents, we can offer spiritual advice, but at some point, we kind of have to go, well, this is definitely out of my range, and somebody else is going to need to kind of, help.
And that's where we're better together, where we can network and be the gang.
For sure.
Yep.
Yeah, I don't know. What do you think there, Pastor Kim? I mean, should your family come first, or are you willing to help your enemy?
And it's very vague on, I mean, why is this person our enemy? I mean, have they hurt us in the past? Have they been violent? Have they been a mass murderer? What makes them our enemy?
Right.
And how would helping them put our family in danger?
Right.
I have all the questions. I don't.
Well, right. Because I mean, you could also take it from the approach of like, although it's our call, like, are you spending all of your time
right
helping others and maybe not helping your family? So I mean, I guess
balance,
because it said caring and protecting your family and loved ones, so it's like, maybe it certainly could cause problems, if you're spending, like, I can certainly relate in some aspect of that train of thought, and that when I was coaching, I know that there was a lot that I missed out on with my boys when they were growing up, because I was coaching a lot, and so it consumed a lot of my time. And that wasn't fair to them, but it was something that I enjoyed and I was hired to do. And so I felt like, I had to do that, so I mean, in some ways, as much as my family, enjoys sports, it could be our enemy.
Sometimes, I see that. That's a good way of putting it. Our hobbies or our diversions could be the enemy of our family because they take up more of our time. So just living into that tricky balance.
Well, yeah, because I mean, it could be also from a mental standpoint. It doesn't need to be physical. And the fact that, like, if you're coming home and all you're doing is focusing on your enemy, and not, caring or, protecting your family, because that can be just as damaging if you're dumping all of that on them, or all they got to do is hear you rant about, like, serenity now.
Yes.
So there's a lot of avenues, and it is, I guess, thinking about it more, Kim, you're right. And the fact that it's like, well, define enemy, or why are they our enemy? Yeah, there's that question could go on and on.
It could.
Well, let's enlighten people here after going down that rabbit hole. But the Buddha taught that suffering happens when we expect things to be permanent that are not. Precious possessions, family members, loved ones, even our own lives. He argues that meditating on impermanence can teach us to respect and value every moment and all the precious things around us and inside of us. Discuss this approach. And it says, would life be better if more things were permanent? Is anything permanent in your view? So, thoughts on the Buddha's, teachings there. And then the questions would be, would life be better if more things were permanent? And then, is anything permanent in your view?
I think if more things were permanent, we would quit trying to do new things. If we permanently had 300 people in worship on a Sunday morning, would we continue to reach new people, try to reach new people? If our salaries were permanent and they covered all of our expenses, would we, in secular world, try to better ourselves and have more salary? Pastor Bryce is calling me. Sorry, dude. I think the temporary nature of things helps us grow. a seed planted is not permanently in the ground, it grows. If it's watered and nourished.
The Dolly Kim has spoken.
There you go. Woo! I don't know. I would get bored if it was permanent.
Yeah, I'm going to text Bryce back.
Well, yeah, because I mean, sorry. I mean, it's not that I don't like vanilla ice cream, but if that was my only flavor of choice,
I'd give up ice cream.
Well, yeah. Well, and I mean, I guess in some ways, how can we, I guess, or why would we want things to be permanent when life isn't permanent?
Exactly. Well, let's go back to the question. People don't like change. So if we say permanent, they're going to be, right. Talk about our churches. They don't like changes in our churches. Mm-hmm. And some keep saying, I want to go back to normal. I want to go back to normal. But it's like, so what's permanent? Permanent back before COVID, or are we permanent now that we have COVID? It's kind of like, what's going to be our permanent,
Mm-hmm. If everything was permanent, we wouldn't have the phrase, well, that's how we've always done it.
Exactly.
But I mean, looking back at the Buddha's teaching there, it teaches us to respect and value every moment and all the precious things around us because of the fact that they're not permanent.
Right.
We should have a deeper appreciation. I mean, I can think of a lot of things like, man, I tried my darndest to keep it the best so that I had it, and it sometimes, they're not there or they break down or whatnot, so it's like, instead of maybe trying so hard to keep it permanent or pristine, just enjoying it for while we have it,
Absolutely. Well, think of the relationships. Like with me, I mean, if it's permanent, would we lose our loved ones? I mean, I would give anything to have my dad back. I would give anything to have my nanny and Pat back. It was just, now it was now they're growing up. Me would love to go back to my grandparents and say, okay, now let's talk about Jesus. Right? It's like, and I'm like, it's like, okay, you left this earth and look what happened to me. And it's like, what were you doing up there that all of a sudden this happened, but it was just, but I would love to go back, and not change things, but have conversations with people and kind of, because they're not permanent. And that's the thing, is our life isn't permanent even here. And it's just kind of that, but you're right, Matt, you try your hardest to keep what you have to make it the best. So it does last a little bit longer because we know it's not permanent. Think about your Barbies. Well, you didn't have Barbies. Did you have Hot Wheels?
I had me
might have had Barbies.
I had me some G.I. Joes.
Oh, G.I. Joes. Yeah.
Action figures, those are the thing. Yeah. Of course, that makes me laugh, because Austin, my youngest, he got into action figures too. And then, of course, my mom would always pull his chain and be like, you want me to get you a new dolly? And he's like, they're not dollies, they're action figures. Well, and I mean, I think knowing the two of you well enough, I'm not surprised by our responses to these questions, in regards to permanent things or what, because we tend to adapt to change pretty well. Mm-hmm. But looking at the other side of it, I'm sure those that struggle with change that certainly would maybe view some things as permanent or think life might be better if things were more permanent. But as we've said, I think life would be kind of boring if things were permanent. It just, I don't know. I think I would struggle more with that than I would change, but
exactly,
because everything
couldn't change anything.
Well,
it would, to Jackie's point, it would be boring.
Well, and I think, those that may feel that there are some things that are permanent, I'm willing to bet at some point in time, something about it has changed.
Oh, absolutely.
I mean,
everything
maybe the foundation hasn't changed, but as far as what's inside of it, at some point, it's changed.
The only constant is change.
Yeah. There's nothing that I can think of anyway, at least off the top of my head, that is completely permanent, that has never changed throughout time.
Right.
Something has evolved within it, or what, that it's caused it to change, that it's not.
But no, you've always done it that way, Matt. Always. It has never changed.
Yes. Well,
never.
We're drawing towards the end of our conversation, and of course, as we were getting ready to bring in the new year, for those of us, there was some awfully sad news that came on New Year's Eve day, and the fact that beloved Golden Girl Betty White passed away at the age of 99. Her birthday was coming up, I believe, on the 17th of this month, but she passed away last week at the age of 99. And her approach to getting older, it's not a surprise. We knew it was coming. Make the most of it. So you may not be as fast on your feet, and the image in your mirror may be a little disappointing. But if you are still functioning and not in pain, gratitude should be the name of the game.
I love it.
Yeah.
I love that. I love Betty.
Discuss your own experience with aging.
Oh, do you really have time?
Love that phrase. Now I'm going to smack you with. Now go ahead and discuss your own aging.
Well, I read. Well, I've been doing a lot of reading on Audible in this past year, which is awesome, by the way. Reading books on Audible. I travel with a bunch of characters. So anyway, I had read to me Betty White's book from 10 years ago, I think it was. And she read it. I prefer Audible books that the author reads them. And just her life view on so many things is how I've tried to live. That's been my aging, how my experience with aging, where she said, gratitude should be the name of the game. And that's, I've been thinking a lot, especially in the last couple of weeks, not because she died, but just in general. Just because I've been dealing with a lot of things, and my MO, my whole life has been, if you wallow in it, it's worse. And whatever you say or do is self-fulfilling prophecy. So if you think something and continually live in that negative thinking, then yeah, your life is going to suck and it's going to be negative because you are living into that negativity. So I even say you're tired, and it's okay to be tired, but to just reiterate to yourself and to everybody around you how tired you are just makes you more tired. But if you live into the gratitude and the positivity, then that will help you going forward. And it sounds really simplistic, but sometimes that is life. Sometimes you just have to get to the very basic and the simplistic part of it. One thing she said in her book, and I don't know why this I know why it resonated. I've been trying to lose weight for the last 6 months, and I have, but she's been within the same 5 pounds weight wise for years and years and years. And so what she said was she weighs herself every day. And if she gained a pound, then she just, cut something out of her, quit eating sweets for a couple of days to lose that pound back. And that was the way to stay on top of it. If you're aware of your weight and you gain a pound, then you can do something right away to lose that pound. But if you ignore that and eat all of the carbs and are lethargic and don't do anything, then it creeps up to 20, 30, 40 pounds. It's much harder to get back to where you want to be. So it's just recognizing the blessings in our lives and being grateful, living into that gratitude. I like that line. Gratitude should be the name of the game. So, and that's my word for this year is hope, specifically persistent hope, because I think when we lose hope is when we decline. So you got to have hope.
Yep.
That's my soapbox. Stepping off. So.
I know one of the things for me that was kind of a struggle is, somebody who's always been, physically active and played sports, whether I was good at it or not, was that point where, my mind said, oh yeah, we can do that. And then my body, afterwards is like, what are you doing to us? Like, would you just stop, please? But my mind keeps saying, oh yeah, I'm still, 20 and I can do this, and no. But I mean, just being thankful to be able to still do some of those things. So it's like, yeah, I might not be as fast on my feet, or the image is a little, a little disappointing some mornings, but, still thankful that I'm here, still thankful that, I can still do a lot of those things. I just can't do them maybe the way I used to or what. So, I've never really struggled with getting older. Like I know some people kind of have that midlife crisis, or it's like for some, turning 30 or 40 is kind of a struggle for them, but it's like, honestly, it's like, I don't even think, like I was, so little funny story the other day, Melissa and I went out to lunch and I was talking to our server and I had said, yeah, I used to, wait tables or whatnot, and I forget how I phrased it. I might have said, a while ago or something like that. And Melissa chimes in and says, decades. Like, what do you mean decades? I'm like, I wanted to be like, well, to you. And she's like, well, that was in your 20s, 2 decades. I'm like, oh. Yeah, you're right. I don't like hearing it, but you're right. But I mean, I just, until somebody makes some sort of time reference, I don't, I just continue to go on about my life. But then it's like something comes up that makes you think about, either the current year or something that came out years ago. And then all of a sudden you're like doing the math in your head and you're like, oh yeah. Oh, okay, whatever, but I don't know.
1980 was 42 years ago.
Oh yeah.
I know, that's hard to believe.
Feels like it was 20 years ago. It is 42 years ago.
I know. It's kind of hard when you hear 80s as oldies, I still listen to 80s music.
Talking about the 80s today is like us in the 80s talking about the 40s.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah, because I saw a TikTok yesterday that it was like, it showed like 5 songs that came out 30 years ago. And I'm just like, like no, like. Yeah.
A high school teacher friend said the other day that he was talking in class about being in school in the 60s. And his freshman students are like, wait, did you say the 60s? What?
Yeah.
What?
Well, I mean, think about it, I gotta believe, for kids that were born post 2000, they're in their teens or 20s now, and it's like saying 19 something probably seems like, whoa.
To us, like saying 18 something.
Is that BC or
did you have electricity then?
No, not really. But what I appreciate about, we're talking about aging and all that, but what I appreciated seeing, and we're still seeing it, on TV and that, but think of, talking about age groups, look how many people are talking about Betty White and how young they are. I mean, it isn't like people in their 80s are talking about Betty White. You've got people that are 20s talking about Betty White. And just that you want to talk about hope. I mean, that's my hope. I hope when I leave, it's like, I've got people in their 20s still talking about me. I've got people, because, in our line of work and that, they always ask us, so what's your age range that you can communicate with people? And it's just like, you think about it. Who are you?
Everybody. Yeah.
Are you connecting with the 20-year-olds, or are you only connecting with the, 40 to 80-year-olds? It's like, who are you connecting with? And it's just kind of like, I've been asked that question a lot lately, and I just been kind of like, wow, hey, I am connecting with 20-year-olds and I'm liking it.
Yes.
But these 20-year-olds are now starting to turn into 30-year-olds. And so it's just that. But think about that. But that's one thing I appreciate about Betty White. No matter, she was always able to connect.
Yes.
And it's been sweet to see the different, of course, Hollywood coming out and addressing, the memories they had of her and all that. But it's younger actors that are coming out and talking about her. And to me, I'm like, that's a goal. That's a goal I want. I want that. I want when I'm 99 years old, if I live that long, to have those 20-year-olds talking like, hey, she was so much fun. We could have great conversation, so it was just that's my goal.
Yep. There was a quote along that line. It's live your life in such a way that if you die at 99, it's too soon.
Yep.
Yeah. A friend, her 104-year-old grandmother just died.
Wow.
And she was in pretty decent health. I mean, she's living at home and or with her daughter. Just, it was too soon. And she was 104. To live your life in such a way that it's too soon when you die at an old age.
Well, I think it goes back to that permanent question. When we acknowledge God in heaven and know that we can live out eternity, like 100 years is just, a drop in the bucket compared to what is ahead for us. So, I mean, not that it makes it any easier when we lose somebody, but certainly it's like, you lived a good life, but just understand that that it goes on afterwards or whatnot, so it's aging's not easy, but at the same time, it's not permanent either. So
absolutely.
Well, my friends, I need to wrap things up since I've got an appointment I need to make at the Secretary of State before I lose it. And so we want to thank everybody for joining us this week as we wrestled with these topics. And we hope that your new year is off to a good start. And until we gather again, peace be with you.